I just learned something shocking about Easter.
No, you didn't.
Easter has nothing to do with Christianity or Jesus dying on the cross.
It has everything to do with Jesus because it's entirely a Christian holiday in origin, but you're about to peddle a bunch of modern myths that it's actually a rebranded pagan holiday. By the way, Easter is Not Pagan shirts are now available on our website.
It all started with an ancient pagan god called Easter, Eostrate. Similar, right?
Yeah, but you're leaving out a lot of important details. First, most of the Christian world calls it Pascha, or a derivation of that, because Jesus died and rose during Passover week. The reason why we call it Easter is because in Germanic regions, the holiday fell in the month of Eostromanoth, so they started calling it the Eostromanoth celebration, and then it just became Easter. Now, the month was probably named after an ancient goddess named Eostra, but that doesn't make Easter pagan, any more than it would make Wednesday pagan just because it's named after Odin, or Thursday pagan just because it's named after the god Thor.
So Eostrate is the god of fertility, and this festival was held every April at the beginning of spring to pray for blessings of new life.
So that is not true. The only thing we know about Eostra comes from Saint Bede. He said, Eostromanoth has a name which is now translated Paschal month, and which was once called after a goddess of theirs named Eostra, in whose honors feasts were celebrated in that month. Now they designate the Paschal season by her name, calling the joys of the new rite by the time-honored name of the old observance. That's it. That's all we know about this goddess. And Christians were celebrating the Pascha long before they even knew about Eostra worshippers. So there's no reason to think the Easter holiday came from some celebration to this goddess.
This is where it gets creepy.
No, this is where it gets stupid.
They used to sacrifice animals and even humans. They would then paint eggs in this blood from the sacrifice and hide them in fields in hopes that God would bless their land. Ugh.
See, I told you it was going to get stupid.
If someone found one of these blood eggs, it would be seen as good luck. And this is where the Easter egg hunt comes from.
So obviously, complete and total nonsense. Easter eggs did not come from paganism, they came from Lent. In the Middle Ages, they would fast from all animal products during Lent, but towards the end, they could save the eggs by hard boiling them and use them for the Easter celebration. The earliest reference to Easter eggs comes in 1290, when King Edward I purchased 450 decorated eggs. The Easter egg hunt didn't happen until much later, and it was just a game invented for children.
You know the Easter Bunny? Rabbits are actually seen as the pagan fertility symbol because they reproduce so much.
The Easter rabbit didn't come about until the 1600s, and originally it was the Easter hare. The origin of this tradition probably just came from the fact that in the springtime they would see more hares, and so they started associating the animal with the holiday.
On top of this, Jesus never told us to worship his death day.
Lily, we're not worshiping a day. We're remembering when Jesus gave his life to atone for our sins. Get it right, please.
He actually warned against it. In Mark 7:6, Jesus criticizes man-made traditions that replace true worship.
You're begging the question that Easter is replacing true worship, but in the church, we're remembering the greatest thing God ever did for us, so we're not replacing true worship.
So around 300 AD, early Christian leaders ignored Jesus' clear warnings and decided to rebrand pagan holidays to spread Christianity.
This is a complete lie. Christians were celebrating the Pascha or Easter as far back as the 2nd century. What happened in 325 AD at the Council of Nicaea was that the bishops standardized the way to calculate Easter. It would always be on the first Sunday after the first full moon of the spring equinox. This way, all Christians would be celebrating Easter at the same time.
The church rebranded Eostrate as the resurrection of Jesus to make it easier for pagans to convert to Christianity.
That's right, folks. In the 2nd century, Christians heard about far-off Germanic peoples worshiping some obscure goddess and decided to rebrand their holiday as the day we honor the resurrection. If you believe that, I bet you'll also believe some guy in Arabia who came 600 years after Jesus knows more about him than his immediate followers.
They also did this with Christmas, Valentine's Day, Halloween, and even New Year's.
No, they didn't. Those are also modern myths, and New Year's is not a sacred Christian holiday. It's a secular holiday.
What makes this even worse is that we've all been brainwashed.
You sure have been.
It's turned into this huge scam for big corporations to make you feel pressured into spending your hard-earned savings.
Then don't. Just go to church. No one says you have to go out and buy eggs.
But I'm boycotting Easter this year.
Didn't you just convert to Islam? So of course you're not going to celebrate Easter. Stop pretending you're not doing it because of these lies you're spreading.
Why are we even celebrating something that Jesus specifically told us not to?
It's like they think if they just keep saying this lie over and over again, people will just believe it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get these ears back to my daughter so she doesn't get mad at me. You made it to the end of this video, which means this message matters to you. If you want to see more content like this reaching people for Christ, you can help make it happen. Your support makes these videos possible. Click the link below and donate today. And if you want to go even deeper, consider joining our Patreon community. You'll get early access to videos, behind-the-scenes content, and a place to connect with others passionate about this mission.